What's up, geniuses? Welcome back to For the Record. We're still at home. We're still social distancing. I still ain't get a haircut, but we're still talking to your favorite artists, right? Why? Because the culture don't stop. That means the music don't stop. And today's artist, he kind of dropped 2 albums this weekend, all right? First of all, he gave us Good Intentions on Friday. And then on Sunday, he double back dropped the deluxe version, which is Brown Boy Part 2, all right? If you're a super fan, like I know that you are, you already know who I'm talking about. You've seen him in the thumbnail. It's no surprise, and he's here right now. Nav, welcome to For the Record.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Nah, man. What was the strategy? It's a unique strategy because basically, like, Brown Boy is your mixtape series, and that came before Bad Habits. Bad Habits was the album. Good Intentions is the new album. And then on Sunday, you kind of surprised us. Like, you were hinting towards it that we were going to get a deluxe version, and bam, the deluxe version is a whole nother project, Brown Boy 2. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, the first album before this, Bad Habits, we pretty much had like no momentum going into the album. So there was like 5 or 6 songs that Cash and me thought didn't fit the album. But this time around, there was so much good music that we had on our hard drive, you know what I mean? That like we already had momentum and stuff from all the features and stuff. So instead, this time, all the snippets and the leaks these fans are asking for and some new stuff that didn't fit the album, we just put it out after. But there was always a plan to do a deluxe.
That's dope, man. And shout out to Cash, man. Cash is a good brother. I haven't seen him in years. But, you know, the whole EXO team over there, man, y'all really is just full of good people. Last album was Bad Habits. This album is Good Intentions. Is there a clear connection between the two or just what was the meaning behind the title?
We probably had like 3 or 4 that we thought were cool, but none of them were really sitting well with me. I never really settled for anything. So once I made that track number 1, Good Intentions, it was like last minute. Basically, we just named it Good Intentions. It felt right, you know what I mean, after that.
That's dope. You know, and I love that track. Like, intro tracks to me are so important, right? Because to me, if I think of an album like a movie, it's almost like the intro, the credits, you know what I'm saying? The first scene. And it kind of sets us, when it's done right, it sets us up for what we're about to hear. And, you know, I'm just going to go on the hook for that one, Good Intentions, right? I got bad habits, but I still got good intentions. The shit they don't know about me because I don't take no credit. Stay on my mission to the day my time is finished, giving bulls my publishing. I don't care about my percentage. And there's a lot in that line. First of all, I wanted to get to the publishing part. That's what stood out for me. Are we just giving publishing away? Like, what's going on?
I signed like some of my like, you know, friends from like a young age. I signed them to publishing deals and stuff because they're producing music and writing. And especially like my best friend Frost. And like there'll be times when like, you know, someone might give me 1 bar, you know what I'm saying? And I'll give them 10-15% of a record just because that's my boy, you know what I mean? They might do a hi-hat and a snare on a beat, and I might have done the whole thing, but I'll still give them 50% of the beat. I'll still give them 25%. It's just because I don't know, like, I don't really care about money. I like seeing my friends happy and seeing them like feed their families and stuff. For me, I got enough. Like I'm just by myself, so I just, you know, I'm good with all this money that I got. So I just be sharing everything.
Does it ever? Because, you know, there'll be a time when, well, I don't know. Hopefully not that the money runs out, but you know, I go that say you hear a lot of horror stories about artists, how it was good in the beginning, and the publishing is really like your long-term income, right? That's how you could generate income from a long time. I'm going to say you have to really kind of trust the people that you're with and the family that you're with to kind of give it away. But do you ever feel the pressure of being the provider for your immediate crew? You know, like sometimes it's like you're the one that they go to or you're the one that people depend on for them to be able to generate money. Does that ever get to you?
Instead of just giving to my friends, I created opportunities where they can make money for themselves. Like I show them, yo, you want to make beats? You got potential with music. Why don't you just pick up a computer here? I'll buy you a computer. I buy you a computer. I buy you the speakers. I buy you everything. And then now you generate income. Now these guys get publishing checks. They actually producing. And we got them in a system where we could send beats to anybody. Like I could call any artist. Cash could call any artist. You know what I mean? And Cash been helping me with it too, with my stuff. With, you know, he's a good guy for that. But yeah, like that's just how I made it so that my friends can make money for themselves.
That's dope, man. That's commendable, man. Speaking of Cash, the album was executive produced by Abel and by Cash together. What exactly does that entail, right? Because you're already a producer. Like, and for those who don't know that, I know your hardcore fans know about your production background, but for those who don't know, you're a producer and with major credits under your belt on your own. What exactly does an executive producer do? How does Abel, how does Cash contribute to making this album?
Well, like for me, like being a producer of a record is like you producing that record. But an executive producer is someone that's gonna see the whole vision, the whole picture of the album. And I'm the type of person like I don't act like I'm 100% sure of myself to the point where I make mistakes and I look dumb. I know when to stop and be like, okay, I'm not good at something. So I know for a fact that like right now I'm learning, but I'm not that good at making a track listing. And Abel and Cash do that together. Cash does a lot of the track listing, and then Abel will come in at like towards like the finishing point. And throughout the whole process, Cash will be sending him songs, and he'll be giving us hints like which ones are fire. He'll be like, oh, this one's fire. And he won't say everything's fire, but the ones that stick out, we'll start keeping them, putting them in a different folder. And then in the end, he came to this project and he's like, yeah, this is dope how you guys are going a hard song, a couple hard songs, and then going to a soft song. But he's like, it's kind of up and down. Maybe we should make it all hard songs and kind of like slow down towards the end. And that was like his idea, you know what I mean? After Cash and I had a track listing in like a certain place. So that was his kind of role this time. And even last album, we were about to hand in the track listing, and Abel was the only one that noticed a typo. So like that just shows how much he's paying attention.
You could tell with his art, he's so detail oriented. Like there's not one thing out of place when it comes to a Weeknd album. So I could see how he has a very keen eye for detail. Now, and it makes sense because you're talking about, I noticed on the album, like songs like Saint Laurent and Coast to Coast, back to back, make a lot of sense together. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about another song. Let's talk about Brown Boy. Standout on the joint, right? And you kind of talk about yourself from the perspective of your haters, which is, and that's the shit I love about hip hop sometimes. Like, I don't know in other genres that other artists really make songs like that, like a metaphor or something like that. So you really talk about yourself from the haters. It's real clever. What made you want to do it? Was it just one time that somebody was hating on you and you said enough is enough and you got the idea for it, or what sparked it?
I mean, everybody knows, like, right now, I'm kind of changing the narrative on my career, you know what I mean? Just by, like, interviews and stuff, people get to know me, just making quality music. So, like, everybody kind of knows there's a general, there was, I feel like, a general hate on me. And when I made that song, it started with the hook when I first made it. So it started with that hook, and it kind of gave it away. And I told my engineer, I'm like, yo, just delete the first hook and make it start with the verse.
Yeah, that's dope, man. It's a dope concept joint. I also saw, you know what I'm saying, because I do interviews, we watch a lot of interviews too. Yeah, I recently did one with Complex where you kind of talked about, because Brown Boy too, not just the hate that you might feel or the criticism that you might feel for who Nav is as a person, but you kind of talked about your race and your background and your ethnic background. Also, how you feel like you had this quote where you said that you feel like that you hit a race wall. And if you can explain that a bit, because I know there are a lot of kids who are proud. There are a lot of brown kids who are proud when they see Nav on the stage. And that helped you a lot in your career in the beginning. But then you talk about this wall. Can you explain that a little bit more?
I mean, just like, you're from New York, right? So think about a neighborhood like Queens, right? Queens, when I drove through Queens, that looks like Rexdale to me. And so imagine an Indian kid growing up in Queens. How is he gonna be? You know what I mean? So it's like that's what I was like. So it's like when the race wall thing is crazy. To me, I said in another interview, I said the last like pop culture like representation of us, if you think about it, is like Apu from Simpsons. You know what I mean? That's all they think we are, is like taxi driver or this that. And it's like I'm just like everybody else, like in the rap game, pretty much, if you think about it. And yeah, that's how I feel about it.
So is it more of that the fan base not being able to see what your reality is, like just playing off of maybe stereotypes, right? Because
yeah, come to my neighborhood.
You mentioned the Apu character.
Come to my neighborhood. Come see what my friends are like, and then I'm pretty sure you understand.
Mm-hmm. Nah, and I get it too. And you're right. Being from New York, like especially in Queens, like there's a big Indian population, and at the end of the day, like we went to school. Like I'm Puerto Rican, but I used to be in a rap group. You know what I'm saying? Our DJ was Indian. Like we listened to the same music. We hung out at the same place. We went to the same clubs. Like it wasn't really a separation. But I think unless you live in a big city, like Toronto is really a melting pot in a lot of ways. It's hard for people to maybe imagine how you fit in if they don't see it in their real
No,
life.
actually, I fit in way more in Toronto than I do with the rest of the world because in Toronto,
Right.
when I grew up, all my friends were like Jamaican, West Indian. There's every race pretty much. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like,
That's what I'm saying. Toronto's like New York in a lot of ways. Like it's just a bunch of cultures melded into one.
yeah. So I felt way more accepted than I feel like when I got to the limelight and like the rest of the world, they kind of weren't ready for it. They couldn't understand it.
Okay, so this is something that's clearly been on your mind. You've also had a lot of success. You know what I'm saying? So how do you weigh the success? Because there's some people who could be like, you know what? I got platinum and gold plaques. Like I got hit records. I don't give a fuck what you think about me. Like, how much does it really bother you? How much does the success satisfy you? Like, what's the balance between perception versus what your reality really is as a musician?
Well, what I live by something. What people think of me doesn't get me paid. So that's one thing. But also, if I see like the same comment or the same criticism about my music more than like 5 times, I'm gonna pay attention and start making changes and be self-reflective. You know what I mean?
You did last year. You did the Pitchfork interview that blew up, and I think the quote that kind of came out of it were you talking about almost the fame, right? When we talk about the success and the fame and the frustrations of not being noticed by TMZ, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, and not getting the credit as a star that you hope. Do you still feel that way? Do you,
That's something we gotta clear up. Okay, so interviewers they'll take out words or add words to make the shit hype. So the word that was in my opinion twisted was the way my lingo is, being a Toronto kid, is when we say something like sick, it means something good. So when I said I come outside and TMZ don't take pictures, I'm like sick, like they don't know me. You know what I'm saying? Like sick, like cool. He put I get sick. Like I don't even talk like that. I get sick. That's like some girl stuff. Girls say that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I was just like, whatever. I just took it as it was. I'm not going to go clear myself up, defend myself, man. I don't do that goofy stuff on the internet.
So what you're saying is like, actually, you like to go out and not get recognized and not get...
Yeah, when I walk outside and I see the cameras and they didn't take no picture, I was like, oh, shit, like, perfect. Like, I still got time. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, that's dope. It even, the funny thing, do you laugh at... Because it even spawned a fake story. I know you've seen the pretzel story about Drake and Abel and you being allergic to pretzels. I think when that came out... I think maybe for like 2 minutes, people was like, oh shit, this is real. And I think people figured out pretty quickly that it was fake and it was a joke. Were you able to laugh at that or does that piss you off?
It was a funny article, but when I saw people really taking it serious, it pissed me off a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Right. I think it took a second there. We was like, no, this shit got to be a joke, man. Like, man, I want to get back into the music, man, a little bit. You and Uzi on Status. Man, what's it like when you and Uzi hook up? Y'all got a couple, man. Y'all got good chemistry.
This is probably the only time that we ever made music without being in the same room. Other than that, we usually like work right beside each other. Like we'll be like snatching the headphones from each other. Like, you know what I mean? We have a good time recording. Yeah, but this time was a little bit different. We just sent each other songs and it was cool.
That's dope. And no clearance issues this time. I saw that you had went on social media and talked about how you overreacted with DJ Drama and Don Cannon the last time. This time everything went smooth.
Yeah, everybody can understand the frustration, with that. So everything's cool. Yeah, shout out to them.
Right. How much you feed a lot off of Uzi though, right? Like because even when he was going through it, like I felt like you were feeling his pain when he leading up to Eternal Take and. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then Eternal Take is out is one of the, the dopest albums to come out in the last several months. You know what I'm saying? Running it up. And then Good Intentions comes, a couple of months later. Like, I feel like y'all, there's an energy that's shared between y'all.
Yeah, I got a lot of love for the kid, That's my boy. And I wasn't really like feeling no pain or something. Like, I don't think Uzi knows how late he is. Like, I really don't, there's a quote like that Belly gave me too. He's like, you're the last one to find out how poppin' you are. So, like, I feel like he doesn't know how lit he is. I was like, yo, when you drop this album, it's over. Like, I'm one of the biggest Uzi fans. So, like, I knew that he was gonna be lit.
Do you know how lit you are? Do you feel it?
No.
That's a good quote.
No, not at all. Ever. Like, I feel like I can still go to the store by myself and do whatever by myself.
Let's talk about again, man. And I said in the intro about how open and honest you are, right? And I really think the thing I appreciate about your music is that I learned the most about you through your music. You know what I'm saying? There's not a ton of Nav interviews floating around. I feel like maybe this album we might see some more, but I learned the most about you through your music. So when you kind of talk about bad habits and then you also talk about good intentions, like on a song like Codeine, right? And you say, I don't eat steak, but I'm ready for beef. Told you that I quit, but I still pop beans. Grinding that night till I crack my teeth. You know what I'm saying? These are words that rhyme, right? And if you just listen to the song and you catching the vibe, it might go over your head. But it made me rewind. Like I really rewind that line. I was like, yo, what is he trying to say?
I cracked my teeth. I had to get porcelain right here. These two right here in the back. Stress, you know, going through things like not wearing a mouth guard. You know?
That's not an effect from the drugs though? Because they say certain pills too make you grind your teeth at night and stuff like that. Like, and on a song called Codeine, that's why I was like, well, how much are those two lines related and those two concepts related?
For sure. I would attribute it to that and for sure stress. Because I was grinding before that.
And then you know, you got the Overdose song, man. Sometimes I hope I overdose just to get my problem solved. Is a heavy ass lyric. And really a fucked up place to be, like a dark place to be. What's kind of your relationship with drugs now? Like, is that line like indicative of a moment in time, or is that just how you feel overall?
Moment in time, not how I feel overall. The lyric, if you listen carefully, it says sometimes I hoped. There's like I didn't really pronounce the D pause, but yeah, it was it's in there. So yeah, it's a past tense.
I mean, and what's your relationship? Because you're not shy about. I mean, you know what I'm saying. You rap, you sing about drugs, like, and that's part of the culture, right? But just knowing you, like, is it something that you control? Is it something that feels out of control? Like,
it was more so. It was more so out of control in the beginning of my like rap career. Now it's like things in moderation. You use it like it's like almost like a tool.
What do you have to say to young artists because I think a lot of young artists too could get caught up in it, right? Like everything comes at you so fast, right? Like if it's something you had to learn, I'm sure.
I mean, I'd say you don't need nothing. Like you really don't need nothing. The power of your thoughts is way more powerful than any drug in the world, and that's what I'm learning. You know what I mean? But you don't need nothing. It's like I wish sometimes I didn't even smoke weed. At the end of the day, it makes me less productive. It makes me eat worse. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I wouldn't like say, yeah, you should do this.
I appreciate you talking about that. Again, I hear the album, I hear the lines, and I'm like, oh, well, what is he really going through in his real life? Something we talked about early on too, I just touched on it, was the transitions on the album. I think from Saint Laurent to Coast, Run It Up and Spend It, are like my favorite. You know, it's like the middle of the album, and it flows so well. Especially Run It Up with Pop Smoke and then Spend It with Thug. Like they go right into each other. Like you start hearing the sample for Spend It play out at the end of Run It Up, and the sequences right into each other. Where'd the idea for that come from?
I'm not gonna lie, people might think that was me, and the person who came up with that idea was Cash. And when he was trying to explain, when he be trying to explain his ideas, they sound crazy. Like we were like rolling our eyes and stuff. Like what is he talking about? But then once he translates it into the idea, it's crazy. So that was his idea. And the Saint Laurent to Coast, that was like, I'm not sure if that was Cash or Pro Logic, but one of us like in the room were like, it just sounds like it flows. Like it sounds like a transition. But that's not actually a transition. That's just like by chance the flow of the songs.
Nah, that's dope. And it's funny, I see you smile when I was bringing it up. Like, I mean, that's the shit that I kind of take the time out with artists, and what makes me appreciate you. There's details on this album. There's certain things that's just not spelled out, and that I think you deserve credit for, man. So I definitely want to give you and your team, Cash, whoever came up with it, you also, because you had to sign off on it, because if you hated the idea, it probably wouldn't have made the album. But it's a dope detail. Pop Smoke, rest in peace. Were y'all able to do that together?
Yes. That night was actually pretty crazy. There's a studio I go to like all the time, and nothing ever happens there. It's always just me. And one night, Meek was in the other room. I went to his room and hung out and listened to some music. And then when I came back to my studio room, my boy Slow walked in with Pop Smoke, just out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh shit. And I bumped into him a few times before that. Once at Poppy in LA. After that, like around, I think Uzi's birthday in New York, he was like, I caught him on the street there. I said what's up to him. I told him I fuck with his shit. And then third time we did 2 songs together.
That's dope. How did his passing affect you, man? Like, I mean, obviously it's a sad thing, but I feel like it might have made people in the game also be aware of their surroundings. Not that was his fault, but you just never know who's watching. You never know who's around. You never know who's creeping. Does it make you move different, or does it affect you in any way?
I feel like anytime something negative happens to an artist where they're harmed and something unfortunate like that, it just, I don't know about other artists, but it makes me tighten up. Even though I don't got crazy stuff going on and I wasn't crazy, it definitely makes you tighten up.
Man, that's crazy. Proud of Me. Who's that one directed to? Like, I feel like that's a real personal.
That's directed to like a friend from the past that you can't be friends with no more.
Mm-hmm. How long does that friendship end? Is that something that happened already and then you wrote about it, or does it, like, as soon as you realize that you can't fuck with that person? I'm trying to figure out how quick you go to the studio. Is that like something that you hold on to, or as soon as it happens, that's like,
that process for that song was like I had this energy in my brain that I'm gonna make a song on that kind of topic, and it's not about one specific person. It could be a combination of 3 or 4 people, just pieces from each person that what they did wrong or something like that, and I made the song out of it, and yeah, that's how I came up with it.
If this person hears it, do they know it's about them, or these group of people that hear it?
They're gonna feel it. They're gonna feel it in their chest.
New rappers sound like my clones. You would swear it was me when they open their mouth. This has been a thing on the internet, man. People kind of credit you with a certain sound. How do you really feel about that?
I don't actually care or feel like, oh, anybody's biting me or anything. I mean, we all learn off each other. Look how much like someone like Thug has done for the game for a lot of artists, and things like that. And yeah, like I actually don't care. Like I'll say some stuff if I'm in a like bravado moment. I'll say some stuff on the mic, but really the real me, I don't really care. Like if someone take my sound and do something crazy with it, good for them. You know what I mean? I'm doing great.
Right. Nah, man. So when you get into rapper mode, it's different. The booth, you prop it up a little bit different.
Yeah, there's Nav and then there's a Brown Boy.
Right. Turks with Travis Scott and Gunna. First of all, congratulations, right? Because that's your highest charting solo single on the Hot 100, right?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It's crazy because that wasn't even supposed to happen. Like I didn't even want to go on that vacation to the Turks, and the fact that like Cash convinced me, and I went out there, and then I felt like recording out of nowhere, and then Gunna jumped on the song, and then he showed it to Travis, and Travis wanted to get on it. It's crazy.
So you were out there in Turks and Caicos. Were they out there with you, or you
just
sent it to them
me, Gunna, Metro, his engineer, and Cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was hard. Nah, man, congratulations. Speaking of travel, I want to go back to Astroworld, to the night Yosemite drops, man. This is the big question that everybody had. Your vocals were low.
Yeah.
What was running through your mind when you hear that? Are you freaking out?
I know he likes to do like outros and stuff for people. So like I recorded a longer part than that, you know what I mean? So I recorded a longer part, and then I think the mistake was like probably like mastering, like mixing and mastering. They might not be listening all the way to the end of the song. These guys are under pressure too. So like I know that there was other things that we don't know about that were missing from the project that he was mad about. So it was just cool. It was a mistake, I guess. It was whatever.
Yeah, we spoke to Cash Passion over at Genius, and he said that it was a mistake. He admitted it, and he said that they was rushing to get the album done. It was the last day. He had actually got into a car accident on the way to the studio, he said, and they just
see, I without even talking to anybody, I understood what's happening.
Right. Nah, I think the technology is a gift and a curse. Like we could, before, if it was a CD, you would have to go to a record plant. You would have to turn your album in weeks in advance, maybe months in advance. And now it could literally almost be the night before. But now I get that. Man, lastly too, I wanted to talk to you about you and Akademiks, right? And not about you and him specifically, right? Like, but there was a time when he was a champion in you. There was time, and then you tweeted that, you feel like he switched the sides, right? He hops off and hops on. He came back and said he covers what's hot. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the back and forth. That's the gossip part to me, right? The part that's interesting to me that I would love to talk to you about is the relationship between artists and media. Like I'm in the media, you're an artist, what is your expectation, do you think, between hip hop artists and media? Like, should there be a loyalty on the media side? I'm just trying to figure out if there's like an expectation from artists or from your side that there should be some type of loyalty, or like what's the relationship like?
I mean, there should be some kind of loyalty, but you should be unbiased when you report. But I feel like when it's like the energy behind it is like, oh, L or W, like you feed in the negativity all the time with people. It's like you're drawing it out of them, maybe because you're unhappy with yourself. I don't know what it is, but I don't like that. I don't like how you shift the people's view. You know where it's gonna go when you put W or L. If somebody sell 40K first week, it'll be W or L. What are they gonna say on the comments, bro?
Nah, it's interesting to me, man, and I think about that all the time because I came up interviewing a lot of artists. I've been in the game over 15 years now at this point, and a lot of people you end up being cool with, but a lot of artists on the media side, it's like, okay, we only cool when it's album time. Like, I feel like both sides use each other. You know what I'm saying? So in terms of expectation of loyalty, I don't really feel that, right? But I get what you're saying in terms of there's still a way to say things like, look, 40,000 is 40,000. The number is the number. You know what I'm saying? But the way you frame it.
Yeah, why not put, he just dropped his project. Why don't you promote it? You're going to say W or L. And then that could like get an artist really upset or like potentially ruin their day if they're not strong mentally. So it's like, I don't know.
Right. Nah, that's real. But and then on both sides too. And I'm genuinely asking, and it's funny, because the fans will ultimately decide. But I think about this a lot with relationships. I interview so many artists a week, and we're cool. Like, there's no smoke with anybody. And I'm not the negative person to jump out anyway. But I also don't walk around feeling like I'm friends with any, if not, there's a couple of artists, there's certain people you click with, and then there's certain people that we're not really friends. We just here doing the job. I'm doing my job. You doing your job.
What if you were a fan of an artist at one time and they said something about you? Would you continuously hate on them on purpose?
Nah, I couldn't. Just because I couldn't. You know why? And I feel you. I couldn't because of the audience. I feel like I have, no matter what I feel personally, I have a duty to my audience.
It take away your credibility,
unbiased.
right?
Yeah, like, and it's not to say it don't happen because we're all human, right? I'm trying to think of an actual instance, but I mean, there's been artists who have dissed me, or you know what I'm saying. There's been artists like, or I'll get up there and somebody will drop an album and I'll say, yo, I wasn't feeling track 6 and 7, and I thought this could have been better and that could have been better. And as an artist, you sensitive about your shit, so you'll take it a certain way. But I wouldn't use words like trash. Like, trash is just like, that's like the worst. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and some shit can be trash, but I think people either be like, yo, it's classic or trash, and there's no in between. And I try to describe the shit as I hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some shit that's trash. There's absolute trash out there, and we should if it's trash, we should call it trash. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I'm trying to think. A lot of people, it's funny. A lot of people think like I don't like Drake. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll review a Drake album, like Scorpion, for example, and I'll just be like, yo, it's too many tracks. I didn't like Ratchet Happy Birthday, that song, but you know what I'm saying? Like, Mob Ties was dope, but all people hear is the negative and they be like, you hate it. But, at the same time, Drake is who he is. I don't like Scorpion. It might be my least favorite album, but it's still Drake, so it's not trash. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you still got to keep shit in perspective. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the other thing. But nah, I thought it would be a good conversation because I think even further than the thing between you and Act is this real thing between the relationships between artists and media and what the expectation is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nah, man, this is all dope. What's your favorite track on the album?
To be honest, Saint Laurent. Just, it gives me, I hate to say it, it gives me the old Nav vibes. You know what I mean?
Who you was thinking about when you wrote that, though?
A potential shorty.
Was she, the same question, would she know, if she hear it, do she know it's about her? Does it go that route?
I don't know.
That's what it is. Listen, you ain't got to lie, man. You want her to know it's about her. I see you, man. Nah, that's dope, though, man. It's funny how you could put those feelings in the music and then just have it translate like that. Nah, man. Look, I'm gonna be real, man. I really I did enjoy this project, man. And again, it was the honesty. Like I felt like I learned a lot about you, and it wasn't just the flossing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie. Like early on with Nav and your catalog, I couldn't understand because I saw you as popping. I'm like, oh, this kid's popping, and I couldn't see why you were so like down on yourself sometimes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of it was like, ah, they hating on me. But I got, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, I'm popping, I got money. And the more I listen, and especially with this album, it was like I seen the nuance. I seen the feeling. I see why you feel that way. Like I just felt like it is a lot more wide open and it gives me like a 360 view of who you are. You know what I'm saying? So
That's music to my ears, man. Because I pride myself in not doing extra stuff on the internet and just speaking through my music. And for you to say that is like music to my ears.
but we're here, man. When this social distancing is over, man, come back to Genius. We loved when you did Verified on the yellow background, the first one that you did for us, and the cosign when you listen to all the other artists, man.
Yeah, people love that video. That was crazy.
That shit went super viral. You was mad funny. You know, and I felt like people I felt like too with that, like people started seeing your personality and seeing who you were, man. And you know, I got a lot of respect for you, man. So I wish you all the luck in the world.